In this video, I'm going to be talking about fuel stabilizer and also showing you how to use it in your mowers before you store them for winter. What's up, guys? This is Brent with 247parts.com, the best place online to buy your John Deere parts. Now, whenever we're talking about fuel stabilizers, this is going to be something that is good to use all time of the year, as they are going to have cleaners and stabilizers in that fuel to keep that fuel fresh and also to keep your fuel system lubricated and conditioned. So it's a good thing to use this throughout all times of the year and of the cutting season. But it is particularly important that we use this whenever we are going to put our mower up for the winter. Now, the one that I'm going to be using here today is John Deere's Fuel Protect. This is for gasoline specifically. It's going to be a stabilizer, it's going to have cleaners in it, and it's also going to have some agents in it that help to combat the negative effects of ethanol fuel. Now, obviously, I suggest anytime you can in your mowers, use a non-ethanol fuel, but sometimes we just can't avoid that, so that's where this comes in really handy. Now, there are multiple different brands of fuel stabilizers. Most of them are all going to do the same thing. We just want to make sure and read the directions on the back of the bottle to make sure we are mixing the correct amount with the amount of fuel that our mower holds. So for instance, on this John Deere X320, this has a 3.5 gallon tank. And here on the instructions of this bottle, it says that we need to use 1 ounce to every 2 gallons of fuel. So what we would need in this is about 1 3/4 ounces, but what I'm going to do is just go ahead and mix in 2 on this. The other nice thing is that on most of the bottles that you're going to get, you are going to have a sight glass or sight gauge rather over here on the side of the bottle that's going to show you how many ounces are in the bottle and also give you incremental notches here so that you can pour this straight from the bottle and measure with it rather than having to use a measuring cup. Now, a good way to do this is to add this to your fuel whenever you have less than a full tank. That way you can add in some fresh fuel to it to help kind of mix the stabilizer in with the fuel. So here on this mower, we have about half a tank. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and open up our fuel tank here. So what we have here is going to be an 8-ounce bottle of stabilizer. So I'm going to pour down to our 6 mark here, and then we will go ahead and go in and add fuel to this mower to help kind of mix that up. So you will have a foil seal here on top. We just want to go ahead and get that broken loose, pop that out of the way, and then we can start to pour this in. And that is about right, just a splash more, just like that. Then we'll go ahead and grab our fuel container. Yes, mine is in a diesel container, but this is gasoline, and we are going to just fill this tank completely up, closest to the top of the brim as we can, because whenever we're storing this for winter, we want to make sure that this is as full as possible. So we're actually going to fill this up to about the midway section here of the filler neck. And the reason that we're doing that is because if we leave space in the fuel tank, then what will happen is over those winter months, we could have condensation buildup that could turn into water in our fuel, which could cause us problems later on. The fuel stabilizer should take care of most of that, but if we get too much water in there, we could still have problems. So we want to make sure and get this as full as possible. All right, so just like that, we are almost to our threads here on this fuel neck. So now we're going to go ahead and put our cap back on, and the next step is to run the mower for 5 minutes to let that fuel stabilizer get mixed very well into the system. We want that stabilizer to make its way through all of the hoses and through the carburetor to make sure that everything is lubricated and everything is clean before putting this up for winter. Now, like I said before, if you're not doing this to store your mower, but you're just using this in general to help clean your fuel system, there's nothing wrong with that. But whenever we're going to store this, our next step would be to go ahead and start the mower and let this run for 5 minutes to make sure that fuel has had plenty of time to circulate and that we've got that protectant all the way through our fuel system. Now, when I do this, I would go ahead and throttle that mower up about halfway, get that engine up to speed, get that fuel moving just a little faster rather than just at that slow idle. That'll help to not only get this fuel mixed up faster, but also get the cleaners and protectants through your system faster as well. Now, before we let our mower run for that 5 minutes, it's very important that we make sure that our mower does have a fuel shutoff. And if it doesn't, you can get one of these fuel shutoff valves really cheap at most of your hardware stores, farm and garden stores, or maybe even your local John Deere dealer. But just go out, get one of these and install it. This mower does not have one, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to install that real quick. It's very simple, very easy. So what we're looking at is adding in this valve somewhere here on our line that goes from our fuel filter to our pump here. So what I'm gonna do is go right here in this stretch of hose. And what I'm gonna do first is I am going to pinch the hose off on either side. This is just gonna help to minimize the spillage whenever you're doing this. You don't wanna leave these clamps on for too long because you don't wanna damage your hose, but this will help with some of the mess. All right, so once we get that clamped off on both sides, we're gonna take a pair of cutters here, just try to get as clean a cut as we can on this hose. And you are gonna have a little bit of fuel drippage, so if you need some rags, get those put in place. Finish cutting that hose. Now next we need to go on with a couple of clamps. We're gonna set those on both sides of our hose here. And then we're gonna go in with our shutoff. This has a barbed end on it, so we're simply just going to push that in to the hose on either side, just like that. All right, now once we have our valve in place, now we just want to move our clamps down as close as we can to that valve and go ahead and tighten these down just so we don't happen to have this hose come off of our valve body. These don't have to be super tight. We don't want to crack our plastic valve housing here, but we do want them snug enough that that hose is not going to come off. It's not like this fuel line is a high pressure line by any means, but if we notice that once we get our clamps on, if we don't have them tight enough and we have a little bit of leakage, just go ahead, hop back down here with that flathead screwdriver, tighten down those clamps, or if you have a different style, just make sure and get those tight that you're not gonna have any leaks. And then from here, we can go ahead and take off our temporary clamps, make sure we didn't damage our hose here, take those off. And now you can go ahead, turn that mower on, let it run for 5 minutes, and then what we're gonna do is shut our valve here until the mower dies. But running that engine for 5 minutes is going to allow that fuel stabilizer to run through the system completely, get into your filter, all of your lines, your pump, your carburetor, to make sure and take care of your mower as it's stored over the winter. All right, so now we've had our mower running for that 5 minutes. We've got it down in low idle. We haven't moved to the spot that we want to store this for the winter. Now we're gonna go ahead and turn our valve to the closed position. Just like that. Now what that's doing is shutting off the fuel that's coming from the tank and going to the pump and to the carburetor. So now we're just going to let this run until that engine dies as it starts out for fuel. Now this may take a few minutes, but you'll start to hear the engine sound funny. You'll start to hear that it is starving for that fuel. So that way you are knowing that your valve is working here. You can hear that engine start to slow. Fuel has almost cleared the lines here. Then after that, we can go ahead and turn off our key here. And just like that, guys, you have completely winterized your fuel system and you are ready to put this thing up for winter. So guys, I hope this video helped you out. I hope you liked this video. If you did, we just ask you to hit that subscribe button. Also, if you're needing any parts for your John Deere equipment, make sure to go check us out at 247parts.com. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, make sure to go buy your parts right here and subscribe right here.